We are at Bitspiration Festival in Krakow, and my guest is Teare. Hello, Keith.
Hi.
Hello. We are at Bitspiration, and here we are talking about music as a business, about industrial revolutions. I'd like to refer to something you said in one of your interviews. Actually, you compared startups to music bands. What do those two things have in common?
Well, I was comparing them from a negative point of view. In the past, startups were not like music bands. A startup with a big idea would be funded, if you like, to make the album. That is to say, to complete a full idea, to build a platform, to deliver it to the users and to gain traction. But in the last 3 or 4 years, that's changed. And it's much more like the music bands, where the startup has to basically, with no money, build something, like make a song, go on the road, do gigs. In the case of a startup, it's build a prototype, have a team that isn't getting paid, maybe have a small amount of money to pay some bills, and try to get some traction, some audience for what they're doing. And if they get the audience, then they'll get more money to then go further, which is very similar to what happens with music bands. And to me, this is a bad thing. With music, it really doesn't matter, because society doesn't care if a band fails or succeeds. It's not going to change the future that much, other than aesthetically. But if innovation fails because it doesn't get properly funded, then it really affects the future in a big way. So I was really complaining that capitalism is failing innovation. Innovation deserves better than what capitalism is offering. And this is a bad thing, because innovation should be a goal in itself that we as a society want to happen.
Thank you. So in this case, what would you advise to modern music producers? How can they profit from digital revolution? How can they cope with that?
Well, in a way, I think it's awesome for music, what's happening. In the old days, you would have to have a record label sign you before anyone really would know about you. And that was because the means of production of music, the recording studio, and the means of distribution of music, printing either vinyl or CDs or tapes, were in the hands of a small number of music producers, globally just 4. And you had to sign with one to become known. But with YouTube and SoundCloud and just the ability to have your own blog, with Twitter, with Facebook, anyone with talent can build an audience directly themselves. They can record music in their bedroom using professional tools cheaply. And so if you're in the music business, this probably is the best time ever. So if I was a music producer, I would be doing what I always would have done, which is try to find talent. And then I would be helping teach the talent how to get an audience using the modern tools.
So that's the positive thing about industrial revolution, you'd say, but also digital revolution is about piracy, and probably that's one of the biggest problems for music industry right now. So do you think they should fear about that, or just take it as kind of promotion for them?
Well, piracy is only a problem if your business is selling music. And historically, the business of music was selling music. That isn't the business of music anymore. The business of music is performing music now. And you can't steal a performance. It's impossible. And it's also merchandise. So I think piracy is only a problem for the old record labels. It is not a problem for the new bands. It's actually a good thing for the new bands, because it becomes a way of promoting people to learn about your music and then want to come and spend money to see you and hear you. Now, having said that, there's even a more modern twist, which is streaming services. An average hit record will make around about $1 million in a week for the band from Spotify, just from one service. a successful band that people want to listen to on streaming services, where the user is paying probably $10 a month for the streaming service. Successful bands can actually make more money there. They get typically around 50% of all the revenue than they would get in the past from a recording contract. I wrote books and I had to sign contracts with the publishers. I got 12% of the price. The other, 88% went to the publisher and everything else. That can change now.
Okay, thank you. In your presentation, you said that Silicon Valley is already a dev valley. What has brought you to such, pessimistic opinion?
Well, firstly, I don't think it's pessimistic. It's just a description of reality. There are more startups than ever in Silicon Valley. Literally hundreds of companies every 3 months go through various organized forms of stages. So the fact that 99% of them die is pretty normal. So death is a symptom of life, if you like, and life is thriving. So it isn't pessimistic, but there is a problem. And the problem is that some of these companies shouldn't die. They're dying prematurely. It's like if I'm not old enough to die. If I died today, it would be premature. And I would want the medical industry to help me take care of that. For a company, it's the venture capitalists who are the medical industry. They have to provide the funds so you can truly build whatever your idea is, so it can be truly tested. Some companies are building only a small fraction of their idea, quickly and cheaply, and they die before they get to really try the full idea. That is premature death. And the solution is more money that takes risk over a longer period.
So there is some solution for that. Let's hope for that. You're also a successful and experienced investor. How do you choose projects that you invest in?
It's very personal. It starts with an analysis of what is the key elements of change that are happening right now, and then looking for companies that leverage that change. So it's like if you want to climb a mountain, it's better to find a mountain with an elevator than it is to start from the beginning. And companies need that too. They need to have something happening that suggests that their idea is historically the right timing.
And do you focus on some specific industry, maybe, or not really?
Well, I focus on technology, obviously. Within technology, every 3 years or so, the key drivers change. So in 2011, when I started Archimedes Labs, our focus was mobile-first application builders. And in 2011, that was a strange idea. Everybody was still building websites first. And we said, no, if a company building websites, we won't invest, only if it's doing mobile. Now it's different again. We're talking about mobile companies that are leveraging real-world sensor networks to create experiences for the human being in very specific time and place scenarios. So it's like turning the real world into a browsable world, into a knowable world, rather than the phone being separate from the world, and we want them to come together.
Okay, that sounds big. I know that you are also a co-founder of TechCrunch website. Why have you decided to choose this specific project?
Well, firstly, I didn't decide to choose it. My partner, Michael Arrington, who is the founder of TechCrunch, he and I were business partners. We actually have known each other since 1996. He was my lawyer for my very first Silicon Valley company, which was called RealNames, and he came and worked for me. And in 2005, he said to me, I want to do this blog called TechCrunch. And I told him he's crazy, it's a bad idea, it's too small, it will never make any money. And he said, well, I don't care, I'm going to do it anyway. And so I said, okay, well, we're partners, so I support you. And I helped him, mainly helped him by helping him to understand the emergence of Web 2.0, which was just beginning in those days, and to set the intellectual focus for TechCrunch. He did all the work. I never worked for TechCrunch, ever. So the true answer is I didn't decide to do it. I'm very glad I did because I made some money when it was bought by AOL. And I think it's a major phenomenon. I mean, it has 80 million readers now, and it's just unbelievable. It's bigger than the New York Times by far.
So how do you think the media industry or online publishing platforms will look like in the next 10 years? What's going to change?
Well, I think the key thing is how information is delivered and consumed. The production of news is becoming commoditized. For any given news event, there are multiple storytellers. And so to get the attention of a consumer, you have to be offering something unique that the other storytellers are not offering. And that really usually comes down to relevance to the consumer, which is all about being able to curate the content for the individual to a very high degree of relevance for them, so that they're prepared to spend time with you and not feel like they wasted their time. And so I think
content is still a king, no?
Content is king, but there's too much content. So it's really about how to filter that content to what somebody wants. And if you can't do that, they'll switch you off. It's like if you turn on the TV and every channel was coming out simultaneously, it would just be noise and you would turn it off. So someone needs to play the role of curator and filter, either technology or human. It doesn't matter as long as it's good.
Okay, thank you a lot for this short conversation. Keith Teare was my guest. Thank you a lot.
You're welcome.